Welcome back to Torn Apart in this new year of 2025. So many things have happened in the pop culture, but we're here talking about something that is way more important than people dying in the street. No, I'm not. I didn't actually mean that.
Kill everyone now. Condone first-degree murder. Advocate cannibalism. Eat shit. Filth are my politics. Filth is my life.
No! God, please, no! No!
We're doing stuff that is 100% not necessary right now, but I was sitting there being like, there are so many videos coming out on YouTube talking specifically about all the movies that are coming out this year. And I was being like, I don't really want to do that. I want to do something way more interesting, something way more spicy, which is, let's talk about the movies that we don't want to watch. Let's talk about the movies that we don't want to support. Let's remind ourselves the reasons why we're not gonna go to the cinema every single week this year, because there's a lot of crap coming out at the cinemas. I actually made up a list of films that I think we should absolutely avoid as a society, as a human race, as cinephiles as well, of course. And then a couple of honorable mentions of things that I would call disclaimers, meaning that these things could be either completely avoided if you want or boycotted, but they could also turn out good just because of how weird they are, or just because of certain people who are involved with those projects. But let's start in chronological order and talk about the movie that nobody asked, but I'm pretty sure that people are still gonna see because they're gonna be interested in it, just because they're gonna have that kind of morbid curiosity. I'm of course talking about Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy.
Did you have sex?
Did you have sex?
Did you have sex last night? Yes, I did.
Which is coming out February 13. Bridget Jones came out in 2001, and I think she was 32 years old back then, which means that canonically speaking right now she should be in her 50s. And honestly, Bridget Jones is an interesting character, don't get me wrong, but there is no way that her life wouldn't be so sad right now, especially if we saw how sad it was back then. I'm sitting here being like, I want Renée Zellweger to do something different with her career. I don't want any of these actors to come back, because all of them are coming back. We've got Hugh Grant coming back, we've got Colin Farrell coming back as well. I don't want to do that kind of will they, won't they thing that we've been doing for so long. And Bridget Jones' Baby was already the movie too much, in my opinion. And now we have another one where apparently the pitch is that Bridget Jones is a widow and she falls in love with a new younger man. What did we do to deserve this as a society? The day after this movie, we have another one that maybe a lot of people would just dislike this video almost immediately just for me saying this, but Paddington in Peru is coming out on February 13. I honestly one of those people that found the first movie quite cute, but nothing revolutionary at the end of the day. The second movie was the movie too much. And the third movie for me, I'm sitting there being like, why? Do you love this just because you've got some miserable things happening in your life and you just need something to turn off your brain? Because there are Barbie movies for that. A lot of Barbie movies actually, now that I think about it. And if you want an actual argument for why I think that you should avoid this film, where Paul King is not coming back to direct it. So there is, let's say, like a 50-50 chance that this is gonna be forgettable and at least not gonna be as good as its predecessor. If you don't want to avoid this, at least wait for the critiques / reviews of your favorite YouTubers to come out first and then go and see it. Don't support something blindly. This is the main goal of this video, basically. Like, let's keep our expectations managed and let's not just go into movies not knowing if they're good or not, especially because certain films just don't deserve your money, and there are so many other movies that actually do. The next movie I'm going to be talking about is called In the Lost Land, and it's starring Mia Jovovich and Dave Bautista. It's coming out February 28th, and it's directed by the most wonderful person to exist in the history of cinema. I'm of course talking about Paul W.S. Anderson.
I'm looking for a great treasure, immense power.
Wow.
What an amazing day.
who has almost never made an excellent film. I'm saying almost because I think he directed Event Horizon, which is a really, really good film, and all of his other films is just eye-rollingly mediocre, bad, or so bad that they turn out good. And this is gonna be one of those without a doubt. Like, this is the perfect movie to watch at home. Don't watch it at the cinemas. Honestly, like, just by looking at the trailer, there is nothing that interests me at the end of the day, and I'm still shocked that people like this manage to make films. He's kind of like the most palatable version of U-Ball for me in the filmmaking industry. Like, he has nothing to bring to film history at the end of the day. He's just making movies for the sake of it and spending a lot of money on them as well.
They don't eat, they don't sleep, they don't blink. I blink.
Congratulations! Congratulations! Congratulations!
The next movie is called Electric State, and it's a new Netflix production starring Millie Bobby Brown, and it's directed by the Russo brothers, and it's coming out on March 14th. And listen, we've seen the images, we've heard the stories, and apparently this is adapting a really, really good graphic novel that I still haven't looked at. I really like to read it because I love these kind of stories, but from what we can see, the CGI looks incredibly bad and cringy. And honestly, like, when you put together the Russo brothers and Netflix, they kind of start making some of the most boring and mediocre stuff ever. Like, do you remember The Gray Man? Do people still remember The Gray Man? To be honest, any project that the Russo brothers have made since the Avengers movies have been so incredibly meh. Like, direct-to-DVD movies at best, and honestly, as I said before, wait maybe for the reviews for this film before actually clicking on it, like a starved wolf hunting for something to eat on the 4th of July or something like that. I don't know, the analogy works, I guess. Does it? I don't even know.
You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated.
On March 21st, we're getting one of those films that I love to hate so much, and I'm actually boycotting this, like 100%. Not even gonna tell you to look at the reviews or to listen to your friends who have seen this movie before. It's Snow White. We know what this movie is gonna be like. We know what Disney does with the live-action remakes. Fuck, don't give it your money! I don't even know how many times I need to say this in so many different videos. Just don't go to the cinema. Like, if you want to watch it as a guilty pleasure, if you want to put your children in front of it because you're a huge fan of Disney movies and somehow you think that they're not gonna like the animated version but they're gonna like the live action one, I don't understand literally how parents can think like that, especially millennial parents. Wait for it to come out on streaming, download it, it doesn't really matter. Just do not go to the cinema because they have to stop at some point. They've been making these for so long. Why? Why do you keep supporting these movies? I'm so fucking mad that it's not even half of the video yet. Talking about shit that we do not deserve as a human race, we get The Accountant 2 coming out on April 25th.
Why?
And the first Accountant movie came out in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Ben Affleck is coming back, of course, and the director who made the first film is coming back as well. This is one of the weirdest pseudo franchises I've ever seen. Apparently they want to make it into a trilogy as well. Could you ever guess that an accountant could get movies made about him? I know that Ben Affleck is not technically just an accountant. I know that there is more behind it. But these kind of weird Netflix-like John Wick, Bourne Identity kind of movies are so boring, they're so bland, and I'm sitting there being like, how is it possible that they get sequels? Where there are other movies which are actually good and original and fun, like Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, that will never maybe get a sequel. Like, I really don't get it. Maybe just because it doesn't cost that much money. I would actually like to find out how is the budget for this movie and how was the budget for the previous one as well. Maybe that is the reason why these things get greenlit, because there is another one after this movie that I'm going to be talking about that probably is being made exactly for the same reasons. Budgetary reasons, because they think it might make money and it doesn't cost that much to do at the end of the day. The next two ones actually are in the same category as Snow White, because we're getting a live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch and a live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. These two films need to be avoided for kind of different reasons. The first one, by the way, is coming out on May 23rd. I honestly do not give a shit who directs these because, as we've seen with live action remakes, it doesn't really matter who directs them. It could be the most important, clever, talented director ever. The film is still gonna be garbage because the producers maybe, or even the studios behind them, just don't give a shit and they want them to look as bland as possible because these are basically for children or people to just sit in front of them and maybe even be mad at them. But this movie is sitting there being like, I really don't get it once again, because Lilo and Stitch specifically as a creature does not work in live action. It will never work in live action. It's so silly, it's so weird. It's not like Sonic, because Sonic is actually kind of believable at the end of the day as like a weird furry animated creature. Stitch is an actual like alien with like 6 arms if I'm not mistaken, and I've seen Stitch at Disneyland as well. Stitch is one of those things that just doesn't really work as well if you think of it as a real alien. But if it's an animated alien, you're like, oh, that's cute. That could happen. It kind of acts like a dog when you think about it. But as soon as you get into live action mode, it doesn't work. Same reason goes for How to Train Your Dragon. Main thing about this movie that I don't like is the fact that one of the main directors from the original trilogy is coming back to make this movie. So we can't even hope to have something that looks a little bit different. The casting maybe is gonna make it like 5% more interesting than the original movie, just because it's gonna be relating to like things that we've seen in real life basically. But at the end of the day, these dragons look ridiculous once again in the animated movie, so there is no way that they're gonna be looking as good, as cool, as interesting in live action format. Plus there was that teaser trailer that came out, which basically they took an entire scene and played it step by step in live action form, and I'm like, why are we making these? Like, in the year of our Lord 2025, we're still talking about AI kind of stealing artists' jobs, but let's talk about people greenlighting these movies, trying to replace animated movies almost shot by shot. For me, that is even more disgusting than AI, because AI, you could be like, it's a computer at the end of the day, he doesn't have any sense of morality, but the people behind these films, they do. They can recognize right from wrong, and for me, there is nothing worse going on right now in the filmmaking industry than these kind of remakes. Oh, I completely forgot to say it's coming out on June 13, but as we said, you don't care about the date, right? Because you're not gonna watch it, and you're not gonna support it. I'm counting on you. The next movie is coming out on July 18th, and it belongs to a category that I've been talking quite a lot about on my channel, which is sidequels / legacy sequels when it comes to classic horror franchise. We're getting a new I Know What You Did Last Summer movie. Apparently it's supposed to be a sequel, but we know it's not going to be an actual sequel, right? We know it's going to be a legacy sequel, so some of the characters are going to be coming back and act in a secondary role. They're definitely not going to be as important as the main characters, for example, in the new Scream movies, without a doubt, just gonna appear for like maybe some nostalgia points. But I'm sitting there being like, I Know What You Did Last Summer is one of those films that didn't deserve all of the sequels that it got, by the way. It's a very simple concept about basically this group of friends being stalked by someone who apparently saw them dispose of a body last summer, where they accidentally killed this guy basically. How can you build several movies out of this premise over and over again? And it's one of those things that you can't really readapt or modernize or contextualize in 2025 without it sounding like a 90s movie, which it actually is. This is not gonna be good. Just don't support it unless people say that it's actually good. Then you can go and see it. I will forgive you then.
Things sure have changed. Not everyone believes it, but the bad guys went good.
Do I look like I give a fuck? Because I don't.
On August 1st, we're getting The Bad Guys 2. I actually made a video about The Bad Guys saying how it's so incredibly just stupid the way that it's written. It's very superficial. It's one of those animated movies that it's 100% a children's cartoon. There's nothing bad about that. Boss Baby is a children's cartoon, and there are people who actually love that shit. But for me, The Bad Guys has nothing interesting going on. It feels like a bootleg version of Zootopia when you look at the themes, when you look at all the different characters, who, by the way, they they don't even have names. Their names are just their animal species. Just to tell you how very simple the script is. People liked it back then mostly because of the animation style, which felt a little bit different from the things that we got with Disney/Pixar. But for me, it was just not enough, and I'm not gonna support this new movie. Maybe I'm gonna watch it at home, but I'm not sure, because there is no improving a premise that I already didn't like, right? On August 8th, we're getting freaky because it's Freakier Friday, and it's a sequel to Freaky Friday. Apparently there have been like 5 or 6 Freaky Friday movies. I only knew the ones about Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. That's the one I grew up with, basically, and I know how this movie is gonna go. We know, right? Like these kind of comedies, when do we get actors coming back and they look themselves, but like 30 years later they look so sad, and like there is nothing just redeeming about them. Just I don't really want to see what they're up to right now. And Lindsay Lohan has not really made that many good performances in a really long time, and Jamie Lee Curtis is an incredible actress, and I want her to do other weird things like Everything Everywhere All at Once instead of doing this. This is the perfect movie that you might be interested in. If it comes on streaming, then I will definitely watch it as well. I will not deny it, but do not go to the cinema to watch this. Like, please, no. You know this is not gonna be good, right? This is like Zoolander 2 level of bad. Trust me, it's gonna be like that. I can see the future when it comes to these kind of mediocre films. The next movie is the one I was talking about before when it comes to mediocre action flicks, which are probably low budget, and that's why people will give it a second chance. Maybe it will bring money, maybe it will not. It's Nobody 2. I still do not understand why people liked Nobody 1, but let's say it's a fan action flick. It's kind of like John Wick, but not really. We've got that kind of like character who is too old for this shit. But my own problem is mainly with the actor. I do not really see him as an action star at all. I did not believe him in the entirety of that movie, and I do not see how people might be interested in seeing him again in a second one, because there was nothing like that iconic about him. At least John Wick, you can say there is a lot of lore you can explore. In fact, Ballerina is coming out next year as well. But this guy? Really? This guy? Wow. If this guy gets a second movie, I'm pretty sure you might find some people interested in a biopic about me. Why not? Bald, white, funny guy. There. Some people might watch it instead of Nobody 2. The next movie on my list is gonna be Conjuring: The Last Rites, and do I have to say it? It's the same director from The Devil Made Me Do It. He also directed The Nun 2 and The Curse of La Llorona. Even though Patrick Wilson and Farmiga are coming back to play the main characters, there is no way that this is gonna be good. Just these were good only when James Wan was behind. I don't really know what he managed to bring to this franchise, but right now it just feels stale, and it's the sequel too much. It's one of those sequels that should be coming out on direct to DVD, and I know absolutely no one who has still interest in the Conjuring franchise or even the Insidious franchise. And it's coming out early September anyways, and I know that between August and early September no one goes to the cinema around that time. You're probably on the beach drinking margaritas or something, so let's avoid that film together. On November 14, Ruben Fletcher, aka the guy behind the movie Venom, Gangster Squad, and the magnificent Uncharted adaptation, he's coming back to direct a movie that is called Now You See Me 3.
Yeah.
Once again, one of those films where I'm sitting there being like, is there an audience for this? Now You See Me 1, maybe I get it. Maybe. Once you see the premise though, why do you need a second one? Knowing that, why do you need a third one? I know absolutely no one who has seen Now You See Me 2. And if I mention Now You See Me to anyone around me, they think I'm crazy and I'm imagining things, because this is not a movie that has grown crowds here in Europe anyways. Maybe in the States it's completely different and you fucking love Now You See Me. It's like literally your personality right now, and you have full-on t-shirts and hats and popcorn buckets about it. Maybe that's it. Like, honestly, if you love this franchise, let me know down in the comments why I should go and support this film, because sitting from where I'm sitting, I don't get it. Once again, I don't get it. But anyways, let's go into our last movie that I want you to avoid. We don't really know that much about this, but we know that it's gonna be bad. It's Happy Gilmore 2. Listen, Adam Sandler movies are definitely attracting a very specific crowd. His friends and people people who like Adam Sandler as he is nowadays, because I used to love Adam Sandler back in the days. He starred in some of the most iconic comedies of the 90s and early 2000s. Happy Gilmore is one of them, of course, but this is kind of like Zoolander 2, where there is no way that this movie is gonna be good. They're never gonna manage to capture the nostalgia of it. Last year we got Beverly Hills Cop 4, for example, and even as time goes by, I'm sitting there being like, it was nice, but was it really necessary? And very often, no. When it comes to these type of revival films, they're never necessary and they're never good. They're perfect direct-to-DVD things that you stumble upon when you're bored on a Sunday night. They have nothing else to bring to the table, unfortunately. But let's end into my disclaimer recommendations right now and talk about films that maybe you should support, maybe not, depending on what you think.
I'm looking for my sister. Does she look familiar to you?
She's gone missing.
The first movie I want to talk about, it's called Until Dawn, and it's coming out on April 25th. There is nothing that leads me to think that this movie might be good. First of all, because I hated the video game. Second of all, because the entire concept of the video game is being able to choose what happens to the main characters, and there is no way that they do that within the film. So basically, there is no reason to adapt Until Dawn as it is, as the video game itself. And there is no one that I liked attached to this project when it comes to the acting performances, but I'm gonna keep my expectations managed just because David F. Sandberg is directing this film, and I actually like the stuff that he's made in the past. So you know what, like, if the reviews are good enough, I might actually consider to go and watch it. This might be one of those films where it's actually better than the video game, mostly because the video game is very messy, kind of like the Fallout TV series that came out last year. The next movie is coming out on May 2nd, and it's Thunderbolts.
I click leave on porch. Your subordinates will be reported to DoorDash HQ.
My favorite thing about the movie is like it feels like a movie.
I really don't want to see this. The only reason I'm gonna watch it is because I want to review it for you guys, so I hope it's not gonna be like too much suffering for me. I like most of the actors involved, but at the end of the day, this is kind of like a Marvel Suicide Squad, starring the most bland people ever when you think about it. They have such normal or even non-existent superpowers. It's that kind of like Captain America Winter Soldier thing where it's a spy like movie instead of being a weird like team-up movie like the Suicide Squad movie was back then. Basically, this is the type of stuff that I actually want from the MCU. There is nothing when it comes to the storyline that actually attracts me to Thunderbolts, but you know what, I have to watch it, so I had to put it in this list as well, just because I cannot tell you to avoid it if I'm actually gonna see it myself. The next movie is Jurassic World Rebirth. I do not believe in this movie at all.
Well, somebody better be dying.
I'm dying.
The last two Jurassic World movies were so mediocre and just downright bad. It's coming out on July 7th, if I'm not mistaken. The only reason why I think this might have like 5% chance Gareth Edwards is making it. He's a director of quite a lot of interesting movies, like the most recent The Creator, the only Star Wars movie that I've liked in the last few years, which is Let's Say It Together, Rogue One, and the new Godzilla movie as well. He's the only reason, because I can't really point at the famous actors in them and be like, oh, those people are definitely gonna turn this movie around. No, because there's been famous actors in every single Jurassic World movie and it didn't make them good. The other reason why I'm really skeptical about this one is the pitch, because we have an actual pitch for Jurassic World. I'm gonna read you some of it and you'll immediately know why I think that this is gonna be a failure. So basically, it takes place 5 years after the events of the previous Dominion movie, and the planet's environment has shown itself to be mainly inhospitable to dinosaurs, and Zora Bennett, a skilled expert in clandestine operation, is hired to work with Dr. Henry Loomis and team leader Duncan Kincaid on a top secret mission to obtain genetic material from the three largest creatures in the world's tropic biosphere. Zora's operation crosses paths with a civilian family whose boating adventure was overturned by roving aquatic dinosaurs, leaving them all stranded on an island where they must confront a terrifying anonymous revelation that has been kept secret from the world for decades. This is literally every single Jurassic Park movie put together. I have no idea who writes the pitches and the scripts for these Jurassic Park World movies, but it's insane that with the concept of dinosaurs coming back to life and being with us in the real world, they keep rehashing the same kind of plot structure over and over again. So this is why, like, I'm gonna manage my expectations. I'm not gonna go to the cinema unless I see at least an 80% Rotten Tomatoes score, and then maybe I will consider it. But I'm not even sure because I don't want to give money to this franchise at the end of the day.
Ed and I drove down to the docks where Nordberg had been found floating face down in the water. In a case where there are no leads, you have to start somewhere.
And the last movie on this list is going to be a bit of a wild card because we haven't had one of these in a really long time. It's called The Naked Gun. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a new prequel or even just a reboot of the original movies. It's coming out on August 1st, and the only reason why I think this might be interesting, it's because of Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson is playing the main detective slash policeman in this movie here, and I'm 100% sure that Liam Neeson is gonna be so incredibly funny. I have that feeling that Liam Neeson is like a comedic genius and that people keep casting him in these real, like, serious action movies, but like this Naked Gun movie could be the most unexpected funny comedy of 2025. I'm gonna say it here in case it happened, but it could also be incredibly bad just because the Naked Gun premise is like based on a lot of homophobic, racist, sexist jokes. So at the end of the day, kind of like the Austin Powers movies, I don't think that these kind of movies can work today. But let's manage our expectations as usual. And now you know that it actually exists. Maybe it will not even come out next year. It's possible because I had not heard anyone else talk about this movie. It could just be in post-production and come out in 2026. Why not? But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Those are all my recommendations of things to avoid for the coming year. So the year we are in right now. If you like this video, here at the bottom I'm going to be putting some other videos that you might enjoy where I go along the same topics, and here at the top I'm going to be showing you what I'm working on for the next few weeks. Having said that, don't forget to smash that like button. Every single time that you do that, you make sure that Jurassic World gets another sequel and another sequel and another sequel until we go back in time to the original Jurassic Park movies and we show how the Jurassic World franchise has caused the Jurassic Park movies to exist. In Jurassic Park 87, Rise of the Cretaceous Monkeys.
Can I count on you?
Yeah, that is a good title. It's definitely gonna come out. Just like this video and you'll see it before you die. I'm Patrick, and this is Torn Apart.
Doesn't make sense, you know. Good policeman, bright future. Something like this happens.